What's good, everybody? We continue our 2-hour domination of the Stadium and Bally Sports Live airwaves. I am the coach. Over the course of the next 60 minutes, if you're looking for a show that breaks down Monday Night Raw and SmackDown segment by segment, you've come to the wrong show. If you're looking to be educated, entertained with the bigger topics in all of pro wrestling, you come to the right spot. If you are in the watching on YouTube, please hit the like button. It really helps the show grow. And we appreciate that because we're growing in leaps and bounds. But I'm only the coach side of it. I have a partner who we fight every now and then. But man, do we get along gloriously. My main man from russosbrand.com, Vince Russo. Good morning, sir.
What is going on, my friend, Coach? As always, a lot to talk about, my friend.
Oh, there is a lot to talk about. Now, I got a text on Monday I had to tell you about publicly before we even get started. And it was I can't tell you the name because it's a high-level talent in the industry. And he simply said, hey, I just wanted to let you know, you and Vince are a really good listen. And in this business, that's everything.
Very nice. Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Coach, I once in a while I do this to show everybody how great the coach is. I know the coach and producer man always have a format.
Yeah.
But every once in a while I'll throw a monkey wrench in.
Are you changing the lead story of the show?
Yeah, because I didn't see this in the format, and you are the perfect man to talk to, who had a great career at the WWE and a great career at ESPN, because this includes both parties.
Okay.
I'm because Coach, you know me. When something happens, Coach. When I was younger, and when you were the same way, when we were younger, it was always knee-jerk reactions. And a lot of times you say things and it's like, oh, I wish I didn't say that. But as you get older, you learn, okay, I got to think things through before I speak.
100%.
I want to ask you this question because you know ESPN very, very well.
Yes.
And I have a theory on it. Where's my conspiracy?
Oh, I love it. Man, we're getting this 2 minutes in?
Yeah.
The sounder? Oh, give it to me. I need to hear this.
I got to ask you this question because on the surface, it doesn't make sense. So I'm wondering if there's a hidden message.
Okay.
I read the official ESPN review on Wrestlepalooza, and I think the final review was a C+. And a lot of people cannot understand why in the world would they do that. Why would they give the wrestling show a C+ on their own, format? And I'm thinking to myself, and you'll know the answer to this. This is ESPN. This is a prestigious, great sports leader that has been around for years and years and years. This is not the USA Network. So my question is, with the rating of that first show, is ESPN maybe trying to send a message saying, guys, we paid $1.6 billion. We're not USA Network. And the way we up the bar, you guys need to up the bar as well. Because I'm just trying to figure out what was behind that C+ rating. Was there a little bit more to that, Coach?
The answer is no. And I'm so glad you asked me this, Vince, because you had no idea. But yesterday on Off the Ropes with the Coach, Sirius XM, 2 to 4 Eastern time, every single day, we had a live guest. The guest name was Andreas Hale. That just happens to be the writer of the article that you're talking about.
Great.
I interviewed him yesterday. And as he told me, and I know from working there, that when you're a lot of times wrestling fans especially, they're so used to WWE putting out the content. When you're a network and you're a news and sports network, Vince, you have to report almost like an ombudsman or somebody who is non-biased. This is a guy who's been writing for over 20 years. This is a guy who is a wrestling fan. He took venom from wrestling fans because he watched All Out in the afternoon and Wrestlepalooza at night. He was like, listen, this was a C+ show. And he writes for ESPN. He's like, I'm not going to lie because Vince, if you're at ESPN, if it's an A show, you got to say that. If it's
Right.
an A show, you got to say that because you can't just because you air it. They air the NFL, they air Major League Baseball, they air NHL, they air MMA, they air all of them. But they also have ESPN.com where people go to things. So there was nothing more to it than he writes. He's going to cover the WWE. You're going to read a lot of stuff from him, and that's it. That's it.
Because the one thing I would think about with ESPN is credibility is very, very important. And if they're gonna put over a mediocre show, I think some people are gonna call them out on it.
Well, that's the thing, and I even told him, I said, you're in a no win situation. Because these are also, Vince, fans, and we've discussed it here, is the success of this venture will only be gauged by how many wrestling fans get the app.
Yeah.
And wrestling fans are not like you and I, most of them. They're not sports fans. So you've got to make it so they have to go and watch it. So also, they're not used to reading real articles. They're used to the dirt sheets.
Right.
And the dirt sheets, as we know, are just clickbait. They're going to give you a headline not based off of really what was happening on the show. So I told people, Vince, I said, go read Andreas Hale. And stop worrying about the dirt sheets who will throw something against the wall and go, oh, man, one thing stuck, so I'm going to lean into that.
Right.
And you can't do that. You can't do that.
Can I ask you one other question about Wrestlepalooza? Because again, I'm trying to understand, Coach. I really am. I try to put myself in the shoes of Triple H. I really do. And
100%.
I think one thing that really backfired is he publicly went out there on social media and talked about surprises. Now, you know darn well, man, when you're throwing surprises out there, I would say 85% of the people, their mind automatically goes to The Rock. I just think it does. Here's my question. We saw there were no surprises on the show. That's fine. I don't have an issue with that. But here's where the issue is. Why are you going to advertise big surprises and then not deliver them? What do you expect the drawback to be once you? So I'm trying to understand Triple H. The only thing I could possibly come up with, Coach, and we've talked about this in the past, was something planned that fell through. Because if Triple H really thought the surprise was his wife going into the WWE Hall of Fame, bro, then this guy is gravely out of touch.
Well, don't tell me you didn't watch the interview yesterday with Andreas Hale, because that was the number one reason he gave it a C+. He was like, you can't promise that. And this is also, I think, where Triple H and a lot of the executives need to maybe ask for a little bit of advice, because in the past, Vince, every single deal they've done has been with a network that they can control.
Yes.
They're like biggest thing.
Absolutely.
They're not the biggest thing on this network.
Absolutely.
The NFL is, right? And they're also, NFL is a part owner now in ESPN. So this is a different world. And I think that Triple H fell into the trap of new deal, new content, new fans, and I'm just going to promote the show, because that's how you promote the show. But when you get people calling you out for your accountability and then you don't address it, that's why so much negativity this week, is that he promised that. And then they also posted the video of the, what do we call it? The top on top, or like him watching the video of the Undertaker.
Yeah.
And doing the little Triple H clap backstage. And it's like, it's so self-serving. And because he put himself on every show, and there was some other talent too, but let's be honest, Triple H was on every show. He voiced open, and I would have put Roman Reigns in a suit. If he's not going to wrestle, have it come up with your biggest star.
Yeah.
And that's who welcomes people to the ESPN era. Because Vince, he also played football at Georgia Tech.
Yeah.
He's a sports guy.
Yeah.
But Triple H did it, and Triple H is not a sports guy. And this is not a criticism of him. He's just not. He lives in a 24/7 wrestling world. And Vince, they need to have people like myself or somebody out there that understands sports, which is why it worked when we started 10 years ago. When
Yeah.
we started taking, wrestling to Sports Center, I understood both ends. I'm not putting myself over. I'm just saying that's fact. But if you go, Vince, if you walked into I don't know, just a world that you know nothing about, but then he used all the best in sports and the best in sports, all that kind of stuff, instead of just saying, and I don't know what the logic is, or I don't know what the exact thing is, but the numbers reportedly, Vince, are that this was, and there's a lot of reasons for it, the worst viewed or streamed PLE they've ever had. And it's not an ESPN fault. ESPN did everything that they could. They put them on every single football game Saturday before the show. Live. On live with Joe Tessitore on the Memphis, Arkansas game.
Coach, let me ask you this, and that's not a good sign, because we know we have a track history and a track record from Fox and from Netflix where you take that first number and it's down from that. I mean,
100%.
there's a track record. That isn't me saying that. Now, let me ask you this, Coach. Would you write this off to maybe people did have a hard time finding the app and signing up, where maybe we see a difference this time? Maybe we see an uptick for the second one and not a downtick.
1,000%. I think that was the biggest part of it, because on my timeline, we've almost, you and I have become kind of the wrestling whisperers, so to speak, when it comes to liaisons with media. So I get my timeline, I'm sure yours too, filled up with, man, I can't figure this out, or hey, coach, I got mine for free. I just logged into Hulu. And there was so much confusion over who got it with their plan, who didn't get it with their plan, all of that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
And so I think a lot of people are like, you know what? I'll go watch the football game tonight. I'm tired of trying.
Yeah.
I'm tired of trying. It was easy for me, though. I just went on my phone. I did it live on the air. It was easy. But this is what happens when you speed it out. When you fast forward, right? It was 8 months earlier than what they planned. So I think on both sides, you're like, man, we got to get it out because we got to get all these dollars, instead of let's make sure that we get it right and maybe start at Survivor Series. Something like that. What would you think about that?
I would have to think this time, this is going to be the opposite of what they've experienced, like I said, with Fox and with Netflix. I would believe you're going to see an uptick with the next PLE. I would believe that.
1,000%. And I know, and we're going to talk about it in 5 minutes, but the Crown Jewel show, Saudi Arabia show, and it will be a Perth, Australia show now on October 11th. Now, I'm assuming that'll be on the ESPN app. I don't know, but I would assume it's going to be. And they just announced what the one of the main, who John Cena's opponent's going to be, and it's going to be interesting to hear your take on why they've decided to change the opponent or not do what we think they should have done. So we're going to get to that in 5 minutes, but right now, it feels like it's just announcement after announcement after announcement. Vince, they got to focus on content, right? At some point.
They can't. Coach, you and I have been saying this from day one. They can't. You can't focus on content when there is a show every day. You can't. It's impossible. I don't care if you're Stephen King. You can't. I'm a writer. It's an impossibility. And we said this from the beginning. The more masters you're serving, the more content, the more watered down it's going to be. We've said that from day one, Coach.
No doubt about it. All right, we have the schedule. We'll hit on that next on the future shows coming up on ESPN. And also, what do you guys think about John Cena's next opponent and perhaps one of his last opponents with only a few appearances left in his career? It's an interesting way that they are going about it. We're just getting started. Man, do I feel good on Thursdays. I love it. Coach and Company at 10 a.m., Coach and Bro at 11 a.m. Eastern time. On the other side, things are getting interesting. This is the Coach and Bro Show, live on Stadium and also Valley Sports Live. Come on back. All right, we continue during the breaks, and any super stickers that you guys have. We will put them right up on the show and answer them as quickly as we can. I see Ronnie in Las Vegas. Just kind of occurred to me, who is the representative who likes WWE now? AEW has Meltzer and the Indie Smarks, etc. Like, what's the demo? I think what Ronnie's asking is who is going to be like the WWE champion on ESPN. I don't think they need one, and I don't know if any of the dirt sheets guys are going to do it either, Vince. I just don't think so.
Yeah, they like the underdog, the smaller company. That's who they're always going to champion, the dirt sheets. They're never going to put the WWE over. Never.
I would just like for them to put something on the gray wall. That's what I would like.
I agree.
Right, just a little bit of effort into your production. Just a tad.
Just a little bit.
We'll let them borrow the conspiracy theory. All right, Wes Hill says AJ Styles cut the shoot promo. Can't read that. Someone doesn't want to be here. 2 later gets a main event match against Cena. Glad it worked out for him.
That's such a great point, Wes, because something that cracked me up, Coach, was they said on SmackDown like 3 weeks ago, this is John Cena's last SmackDown. He's not going to appear on another SmackDown. The next 2 weeks, Brock Lesnar comes looking for him at SmackDown. Beautiful, Wes. I love that the audience catches these things because they think the audience is stupid.
And they're not.
They're not.
We have so many smart wrestling fans that watch the show. And that's actually going to be our next topic in our next segment is why? That's the question. Why are they doing this? It's great for Chris Van Vliet, who just posted an old interview from a few months ago with AJ Styles.
Yeah.
I'd love to. I don't think it's in the cards, but I'd love to have a match with John Cena. And magically, now he does.
There it is.
What does that mean for something else that happened? We're going to discuss it right now. We're back live on Stadium in just 5 seconds. All right, welcome back, everybody. The Coach and Bro Show here every single Thursday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. Do not forget, for those of you who are wrestling fans over at Coach and Company, we have our Ryder Cup special that's live in Cup starts tomorrow morning. You want to be educated, and I promise you'll be entertained. Now, Vince, one of the things I love about doing this show with you is that you're always thinking what makes sense, what should follow something else. Long-term storytelling is what business has to have monumental success. So when Brock Lesnar came out at Wrestlepalooza in the very first match of the night and literally squashed one of the names on the Mount Rushmore of wrestling and a beatdown of mammoth proportions, 2 offensive moves is all that John Cena got. So the natural thing would be, well, they're setting him up so he can get some revenge later this year. And then it comes out yesterday, they announced it on social media, that at Perth, Australia, the Crown Jewel, which we found out will air on the ESPN app, it won't be Brock Lesnar. It's going to be AJ Styles as his opponent. Let's start here. Why aren't they doing Brock Lesnar based off of what we saw last Saturday night?
I would have to assume, and people need to hear me clearly, because if you listen to me clearly, I am always giving the WWE the shadow of a doubt.
You do.
I am assuming they are going to come back to this for Cena's last match to get the revenge on Lesnar, and he goes out with a victory. That is what I'm assuming. If that does not happen and Lesnar dominated him the way he did and we never go back to that, which wouldn't shock me either, but I would be very surprised, Coach, if that's not the plan.
Say that one more so I can really digest. That lasts like 10 seconds.
I think they're going to come back to that. I think they're going to come back to Cena's going to want that to be his last match, and he will defeat Lesnar going out.
Okay. If they don't do that,
Right.
And what happened last Saturday made absolutely no sense.
Absolutely. That's why I'm giving them the benefit of the doubt. If they're going to come back to it, fine. If they don't come back to it, then we've got to go to this. Why on earth would you do that to John Cena on his farewell tour unless we come back to it?
And if we don't come back to it, it leads to the other. Can I have the sounder, please? Conspiracy theory that there has been some heat along the way. Because as we piece all of this together, Vince, Paul Heyman said on Ariel Helwani's show before or right after SummerSlam, he said, we didn't call Brock till 2 weeks before SummerSlam.
Yeah.
Means that from March to July, it was all about what was going to be done with Brock. Rock doesn't show up. He's busy doing his thing. Let's go to plan B. Well, plan B comes in, which means this was not a long-term plan for John Cena to say, hey, back in January, let's bring Brock in last minute. Let's have him squash me, and then I can go out beating the biggest studs that the WWE has ever had. Yeah. That didn't happen based off of what they told us.
Right.
So if you're going to come in and John Cena signs off on everything, from John Cena's point of view, why would he agree to that kind of a match?
Unless we come back to it.
Unless we come back.
And what I'm getting from the inside, Coach, and again, a very, very reliable source, I'm getting from the inside that Cena is calling all his shots on this retirement plan, which may make sense because I could see John Cena wanting to work with an AJ Styles because Cena knows AJ's great and it's going to be a great match. So I understand that. That's why I have to assume we're going to come back to Brock Lesnar for the last match.
And I hope that we do, because can you imagine, Vince, the excitement and the venom and just how hyped the atmosphere is going to be in Cena's hometown? Oh, no.
See, no. You're worse than I am. I get all the heat, but you coming through the back door, bro, with the little zingers, Coach. Come on now.
Hey. Washington, D.C. is a sports entertainment hub.
Yes,
we talk about it all the
time. Yes.
Oh, man.
Wes Unseld played there, for crying out loud. Yes.
Exactly. Red and blue across the chest. Who wouldn't want to end their career in D.C.?
Yes.
Hey, he's red, white, and blue all the way.
Sir. Yes.
Oh, don't get me started.
Archie Clark, for crying out loud, Coach.
So from the AJ Styles point of view, because not fans of this show, because fans of this who are in the chat that are very, very chatty, they now have watched us long enough, Vince, to know that if we bring something up, either we've experienced it or it's not that far-fetched. AJ Styles, he was over in France, got the most insane reaction that I've ever seen for a superstar on an international show. When we talk about the King of Pops and we talk about for the internet or booking for, normally we're talking about AEW, and they're getting better about that. I'll give credit to Tony Khan. But do you think because of that reaction and how AJ Styles was saying, nobody wants me here, my contract's up, blah, 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 that maybe they're like, you know what, maybe a little bit more respect than what we're giving him, perhaps on his way out the door as well?
I don't think so, because I don't think the WWE and Triple H cares about that. Here's what I always say, guys, and this is why there's such a huge difference between bookers and writers. Bookers are usually retired wrestlers, people that were in the wrestling, but that's what Triple H is. And here's what always happens, Coach. This always happens when you don't have writers in there. They go back to what they know. What do they know? They know wrestling. They know AJ Styles is going to deliver a 5-star match. They know he's going to have a great match with Cena, who's getting up in age. And that's what they go to every time. They go to wrestling.
It's funny now because I think we both agree that with some of the business moves that the WWE has committed to make, and maybe because of the low numbers on the ESPN app, but around the world, the show was trending. Maybe this is going to be the change that the WWE permanently makes. And if it is, then it might leave a gigantic hole here in the States for programming, because around the world, Wrestlepalooza was a top 10 show on Netflix. So are they going to start booking that way? How do they continue to book this way and make everybody happy? That remains to be seen. But Vince, if the numbers are overseas and not in the United States, that will be a huge paradigm shift for this business, which has always used the United States as kind of their core and their hub. If sense. I don't know if I described it very well.
You did, Coach, and that's why I am going to go back to you about with ESPN.
Okay.
What do you think it is? Because I didn't even realize it till you started talking and I started to think things through. Man, if I only did 40,000 subs with the first PLE, AJ Styles and John Cena is not my next PLE, Coach. I'm sorry. That is not box office. That is a great, solid wrestling match. That is not a must-see wrestling match. So again, I can't see that drawing a huge number in the United States. So what is ESPN looking for?
They're doubling down. I can tell you that. Because Magnus, who is ESPN, he's really up there. He's been there a long time. Here's a couple of his quotes. He said, when it flips from being less about the awareness of the new rights agreements and new partnership, how do we handle coverage of the WWE across our platform? That is a really active conversation going on right now. It's unequivocally entertainment and part of sports and athletic and what we do in every way, other than the storylines are scripted and it's presented. There is a full appreciation at ESPN of how compelling their content is from an entertainment perspective. He goes on to say that eventually they're going to add more coverage, not less. Vince, this has to work for them. This is ESPN doubling down. They're trying to pivot their business from being the number one most expensive channel on cable, which most people don't realize. You don't look at your cable bill and go, oh, 30 cents for TLC, 20 cents for $7 plus has always been the price tag. ESPN, though, eventually, this is nice of him to say, but if these numbers don't start coming in, if people are not paying the $30, that love affair will very, very quickly. They need this to work.
And that is so interesting, Coach, because as a writer and somebody on the outside looking in, if I'm coming off of 40,000 buys or 40,000 subs, I am not booking John Cena against AJ Styles. Now they're probably banking on the main event, which is, Cody and Seth, but you've got to stack that card, man. And I am not booking a good wrestling match. ESPN wants numbers. They want subscribers. They want money. I don't think they're going to get money from AJ Styles versus John Cena.
It's an internal thing. And coming up in about 5 minutes, we're going to talk about that. How much does the WWE need to lean in to these partnerships when it comes to star power? We have our thoughts. We'll talk about it in the next break. But Vince, right now, internally, you can't say when you have multi-billion-dollar deals with multiple networks, you can't sit back there, you know what? Let's do this, and then that'll pay it forward to November. And then by the time we get to February, that won't work now. And so now you're starting to figure out the issue.
Well, because it's very important what we're talking about here, Coach, and we always criticize the WWE of this. We never see a sense of urgency. There's a sense of urgency with ESPN, without a shadow of a doubt. And that's huge because we have not seen a sense of urgency in the WWE for the last decade.
Sometimes you need it. Sometimes this is what. All right, we're going to take a quick break. Coming up on the other side as we cross the bottom of the hour, how much does WWE need to stack star power on what they are doing? And also, in about 20 minutes, can AEW take this opportunity to take a giant step forward after All Out? This is the Coach and Bro Show live on Stadium and Bally Sports Live. come on back. Thank you. All right, we continue on here on our YouTube page. And if we don't get to any in this hour, we will stay on after the top of the hour and get to as many as we forget. It's Thursday, which means, Vince, the wheel
Yes.
of doom.
Very nice. Very nice. Yes.
Somebody's going to win a Mamby-Pamby or I Bet Wrestling t-shirt today. All right. Alan Gonzalez, Vince says, hit the conspiracy Q, hit it while I read. Exiting USA was always TKO's plan. Coming home to America for the pop.
Coach.
I think, yeah, we have a horrible thunderstorm right now. Did I drop out?
Yeah.
Basically, they're talking about, Alan was asking about flipping the situation where international is home and America is.
Coach, you know the history of the WWE. When things started drying up in the States, where did they go? It's always been that way. It has been that way since before I even started working for the company.
Well, I know in 2018 when they officially did that 10-year deal with Saudi Arabia, that's when it really started. We've been going international forever, but not like this. Not for bot shows, not for whatever. Alan, one more, says, what was better, OP sacrificing himself to save Jax or Seth getting a chair shot in 40 so Cody beats Roman? Levels, bro. Interesting. Audience, I love how they think. I love how much they really think into this. And Vince, is this something that I think the company needs to understand? We only have 30 seconds here, but these wrestling fans are smart. And you're starting to feel that a little bit.
The biggest curse is insulting the wrestling fan. That was always the biggest curse to me. You never insult the intelligence of wrestling fans.
No doubt about it. All right. By the way, if you're watching on YouTube right now, hit that like button on the way in. It really helps our show grow. Channel grow. But we're adding numbers every single day because of all of you. We're back live in 5 seconds. All right, welcome back, everybody. The Coach and Bro Show. We have just the bottom of the hour if you're watching us live. It is 11:32 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:32 in the U.S. Up and getting your day going. Why not start with us? If you're driving around in your car, you can also hear a version courtesy of our partnership with Believe. Now, Vince, we are 5 days into the partnership with ESPN and WWE. There's a lot of things that we've already unpacked, but I think the overriding theme or narrative that I have found here and also on Off the Ropes on SiriusXM is that wrestling fans deserve the absolute very best in front of them. And if WWE decides that the ESPN rollout is not as important as the Netflix rollout, I think eventually that's going to become a problem. Two gigantic brands in those two that will each want a filet mignon and not a hamburger, if that makes sense. And on Saturday night, for whatever reason, no Roman Reigns, no Randy Orton, no Bianca Belair, no Charlotte Flair. Tiffany Stratton was put in the front row for a 10 seconds appearance as these celebrities are in the house in Indianapolis. Vince, I don't know what the answer is, but people need to understand that take the money out of it. ESPN is a much bigger brand in the United States than Netflix is. They've been around for 46 years. Right now, if Roman Reigns doesn't show up for that, what does WWE think that they do need him to show up for?
You know, it's so funny, Coach, because again, we're talking about sports and we're talking about sports entertainment. When you look at ESPN, man, what is it about ESPN? What is it about sports? Every sports fan knows. What is it, Coach? You put the best team on the field.
Always.
You're not putting your scrubs on the field. You're not putting your bench riders on the field. You're putting your best team on the field. So don't tell me that ESPN is not going to be looking at WWE the same exact way. And don't tell me they're not going to be asking, where are the best players on a weekly basis? That's how they're going to look at it, Coach.
And I'm sure when they were selling, when Nick Khan was sitting in the room with ESPN execs, because remember, on both sides, you've got people that aren't familiar with the other side.
Right.
This is not an NFL renegotiation. It's an initial negotiation. So you're telling them, this is what we do. You accept that. ESPN says, here's what we can do for you. You accept that. I'm trying to figure out, just like with the social media discussion of posting clips right after they happen, that hurts the Netflix numbers. In this situation, as they're sitting in a room, Vince, was this not and I understand that Triple H is beloved by the superstars and say, hey, he's different than Vince was. We don't have to work 52 weeks a year. We don't have to be here for every single show. Well, guess what? That was before you signed $2 billion deals.
Yes.
That changes the game for me. And if I'm a top talent, if I'm Roman Reigns, even if I'm shooting Street Fighter, you normally don't work on the weekends. So you can fly in. Joe Tessitore did a game Saturday afternoon, then flew to do the post game as the host. If he can do that, Vince, on a day where he's doing a game, why can't these other top talent, regardless of where they are, show up?
Coach, you back?
Yeah, I'm just so sorry.
That's okay.
It's so frustrating.
Let me jump in there. I know what you said. Coach, it's a learning curve. And here's going to be the problem for the WWE. Listen, this is the wrestling business. It's a work, it's a con, and they're working and conning their partners. That's what they do. However, we're talking about intelligent people here. Netflix is not run by idiots. ESPN is not run by idiots. There's going to be a learning curve. But during that learning curve, they're going to start asking those questions. Where is Roman Reigns? Why isn't so-and-so on every week? Why is so-and-so on this show and not our show? So there's going to be a 3-month grace period. But if those numbers stay where they are, now they're going to start asking the questions.
Then we wouldn't be having this discussion. We really wouldn't be. But they didn't have that. They didn't even have 100,000 buys for a show that I think WWE just thinks they'll buy anything. They'll pay for anything. They'll buy anything. And up until now, they have done that. They really, really have. And WWE out on that. But and this is one of the things that you love to say. You say, until the fans push back, nothing is going to change. Well, I don't want this to be a failure. You don't want this to be a failure. We all need wrestling to work. But it also has to make $6 billion. Because, Vince, I was there when a $200 million TV contract was gigantic.
Mm-hmm.
Gigantic. We celebrated that $200 million.
Yeah.
And now we're at $325 a year for just one company. And so to me, I don't like the negativity. I don't like they're not doing it, but Vince, this is a fan-based business. Sports are. The NFL wouldn't be paying guys $60 million a year in revenue share if they weren't that popular.
Yeah.
Right? This is all fan driven, and there's been other times, Vince, in the history of sports where there's been a miscalculation on what you think the wrestling fan is willing to do. This was completely out of their comfort zone.
Yeah.
This was not Peacock. It was not WWE Network then morphing into Peacock. It wasn't that. It's a gigantic place that says, hey, we're going to add you to it, and we want your fan base. That's the whole reason, right?
And guys, here's the rude awakening. And again, I say this based on experience consulting for the USA Network and working with their executives who were in fear of Vince McMahon, never spoke up. It was the tail wagging the dog. Coach, the type of money we're talking about now, those days are over. And what did the WWE count on? They counted on working their partners. That's what they do. It's the wrestling business. We're going to work you because you don't understand wrestling. They don't. So whatever we tell them, they're going to buy. Oh, yeah? Well, what happened with Fox? That was the start. What happened with Fox? You sold Fox a bill of goods. What happened with Fox? I would argue ESPN and Netflix may be bigger than Fox. So they're playing now with different players that are much smarter and much stronger than the players they've played with in the past. That's going to be a problem for them, Coach.
That is very, very well said. Because is executives that put scripted shows, and they're just now dipping their toe into the live event market. They want ads. Everything is about making their bigger than what it is right now, right? That's every business.
That's it. Yep.
Every business, that's what it is. So Netflix, and no, not insulting their executive, different business than what ESPN does. It really is. Producer man just sent me the ESPN website has links, have their articles linked to WWE's YouTube page with full segments on it. So I'm going to have to dig a little bit deeper into this, but I'm looking at it right now, and it's pretty cool. I don't even know if producer man, if we're able to load one of those to show the audience at home, but and this is where I'll give ESPN all the credit. ESPN has a history, Vince, of having these big partnerships, like multi-billion-dollar partnerships.
Right.
They just did one with the NBA. They have one with the NFL. And this is where I think WWE and Nick Khan and Triple H, who are always normally, wouldn't this be a time that you would think that maybe they would sit back and said, "What do you guys think that we should do?"
Man, Coach, I have to tell you, and I don't want to get off on a tangent here, but you're talking about NFL, NBA, NHL, and MLB. That's what you're talking about. Okay, guys, watch Unreal on Netflix. This is not this company is not run like the NFL, the NBA, the NHL, and MLB. And you watch Unreal, and I'm telling you, Coach, every time I watch one of those episodes, I'm like, these people are not qualified. They are not qualified. Take Nick Khan out of the equation. We've got wrestlers. We've got wrestlers in key executive roles. They're not qualified. When you bring up the WWE management with NFL management, they're not even in the same league, Coach.
Roger Goodell makes $40 million a year plus to run the NFL. And people have called his salary obscene. However, when you base off what he deals with on the daily, we're talking over $12-15 billion a year in revenue. That's what this sport is. That's what they're worth. And so on the WWE side, I think you bring up a great point. Nick Khan, for people who don't know, was one of the biggest agents in the world in the sports and news realm when Vince went in and got him when he negotiated the deal with Fox. Nick Khan did that. Vince, I fear that without Nick Khan, that a lot of it would still be grab every single dollar, because that's been the narrative. Go out and get us these deals. But the deals would be all over the place without Nick Khan. So you got to give him some credit in this.
Guys, I am telling you, if you really want a wake-up call, and I don't mean this in a demeaning way, but I mean this in a way for you to really understand the politics. Look into WWE management outside of Nick Khan. Look at the people calling the shots. Watch the Unreal show. Look who's in key spots. And then dig deep into how many of them, Coach, have college educations. Zero. You're going to sit there and tell me NFL, the top of NFL management, Roger Goodell, MLB, you're going to tell me these aren't the smartest people in professional sports? Bro, they don't even have college degrees in wrestling. That says a lot, Coach.
It says a lot. Hire me. I've got a college degree. All right. Coming up on the other side, we start to look ahead on what the business will look like now for the last 3 months. This is the Coach and Bro Show, Stadium and Bally Sports Live. All right, we continue here on our YouTube page. Bob Vince says, my last superstar WWE is in shambles. Dad bods in main events, women's wrestling, commercials during matches, nonsense booking is now unwatchable, even the YouTube clips. I'm done, Bob.
Wow, Bob's
Bob,
done.
don't walk away from our show, though.
Yeah, no, yeah, Bob will. Yeah,
well, you're good with us.
Yeah.
I told somebody this the other day, Vince, is that I love to lift people up. Yeah. I love to talk glowingly about things. But I feel like right now they've given us very little, but now the fan base is starting to catch up with where we have been and our frustration.
Coach, I'm going to tell you real quick. If Bob were in front of me right now, you know what I would do right now with Bob?
What?
Bob, I would put my head on your forehead. I would put my hands on your shoulder. Bob, you're the best. You're the best. You were made to do this, Bob. You're the best. You're the best. You're the best. Did you get that, Bob, through the screen? I hope you got that, Bob. You're the best. You're the best, Bob. Okay, I'm sorry.
I would then walk up to the two of you with your heads together, and I'd put my hand on both shoulders, and I'd say, Bob, did you enjoy the show?
very, very nice, Coach.
Did you enjoy the show? All right. Michael Gavin Ali Show says, do you think WWE should go back to 12-month pay-per-view format? WWE go back to the brand split for their PLEs? Well, they basically are this is a pay-per-view. For wrestling fans that don't watch sports, this is a pay-per-view. That's what this is. Yeah. So no, because they're already there. I'm so tired of the brand split. And this, guys, is what we're talking about. That if Roman, you can't have a Raw pay-per-view. These are billions of dollars we're talking about. You have the biggest, best stars, period, on every show.
I want to be in the room when Triple H is explaining the brand split to the ESPN executives. I want to be in the room when he's actually trying to make sense out of that to the ESPN executives that want Roman Reigns on the show.
So this is like the NFC. Or the National League. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. All right, we'll get to the rest of the super stickers after the top of the hour. Segment 4, we're back in 5 seconds. Okay, welcome back, everybody. We continue on here on Stadium and Bally Sports Live. It's the Coach and Bro Show. If you missed any of our content, you can always go to our YouTube page and catch us on demand. Now, Vince, we have been dominated with WWE and ESPN talk, but coming off of All Out and the 4+ hour show, there was a lot of positivity. And Tony Khan also in the last week has said that he fully intends in 2027 to run a big show opposite WrestleMania here in the States, which I think would be a gigantic home run. And then you bring in all the indies with you. As we come off last weekend and you're Tony Khan and we say, well, WWE probably could have more officials in the room that know the sports business. Do you think Tony Khan should add maybe a person or two to his little inner group that understands this is how we directly go at it and be strategic about it?
You know, it's funny, Coach, because thanks to you, I just did some work with Maven. I met Maven for the first time, fell in love with the guy. You put him over. I mean, but this is the point I'm making. You know, guys, I have my YouTube channel, and I think we got 60,000 subscribers.
Congrats.
Okay, Maven's got a YouTube channel, and he draws millions. So now I'm in the room with Maven and the guy running his YouTube channel. Coach, what am I doing? I'm picking the guy's brain the whole time that I'm there. I want to do 300 million views on YouTube. What do I need to do that? This is what Tony Khan needs to do. Tony Khan can hate my guts. Seriously. But Tony Khan really needs to ask the question, Vince, how did you get 6 million people to watch a wrestling show on Monday night? How were 10 million people between WWE and WCW? What were you doing? Whether you want to do that or not is fine. But my God, why wouldn't you involve people and ask people that had experience and success in doing it?
The reason is, in this business, there a couple of things happen. It's you're the smartest guy in the room because it's different than anything else, and we know it. You don't. Then also you say, well, I run this place, and if we're not successful right now, it's on me. So I need to be the person to get us out of this, instead of, because right now, as I run, BTT Studios and all these different shows, and also have my other day jobs, I'm learning how to surround myself because I can't do it all.
Right.
I literally can't. And so we bring in a social media person. We've got producer man, who's the greatest of all time. I have all these people that if they fell off, Vince, I'd be back at zero.
Yep.
And for Tony Khan, he needs, I think, look at it and say, listen, I'm always going to be ridiculously wealthy. Like, he lives in a different world than everybody else because his father is worth $13 billion. So the world is literally his playground. So Vince, if the world is your playground, wouldn't you want to win at all costs? Wouldn't you do everything in your power to win at all costs? Because I would.
Coach, I put myself in that position all the time. I really, really do, because I try to understand people. Coach, you and I will never understand what it is to have that amount of money. And when you have that amount of money, when it doesn't matter, winning may not matter. We don't have that. We're fighting for every dollar we make, you and I. Yeah. It really means something. But my God, if you looked in your bank account today and had $1 billion, Coach, you might be a little different. So that's why, I can never get in Tony Khan's headspace, because I've never had that kind of money. So I don't know how that kind of money changes one's mind.
It's funny because I always say, if I had billions of dollars, the first thing I would do would be buy a team. I think it'd be amazing because I love sports. Sports is my DNA. Wrestling was never in my DNA.
Right.
And so the Kansas City Royals, my favorite team. You're a Giants fan. I love the Royals. A few years ago, we had a long owner, and he was getting older, so he wanted to sell. He sold to a guy, Vince, listen to these numbers, who cashed in nine to buy the team for $95 or $96 million, which means he still had 91% left. And now, Vince, I know people think they're going to live forever. Most people don't. And so I would want to win. And so I said publicly at the time, 18%. Now you got another $95 million to pay guys a championship to Kansas City. That would make me feel so much better than just saying, well, I'm still a billionaire. I still have this much in the bank. That's how I would think of it if I was Tony Khan.
Yeah, Coach, I would think, and I am not a psychiatrist or psychologist, I just think winning would be embedded in us. I just would think that we all want to be the absolute best that we can be. But again, I look at Triple H and I'm like, you're satisfied with these numbers? You're satisfied with these shows? I would never be satisfied with them. But again, when we're talking this much money, that stuff might not matter.
Do you know what I think would really resonate with wrestling fans right now? Because these guys and us have been in this business for 20, 30, 40 years, some of them, is if they stop with the promotional bullshit and they start being honest with what's going on in the moment. Can you imagine if Triple H sat down right now and said, you know what? Financially, we have never had more success, but we understand to get to work. We got to put our hand in the dirt and use some sports analogies. We got to put our hand in the dirt, football, for those of you who don't know, and get dirty. And we understand that our storylines have not been as good as what they should be. We're going to work on that. We understand that ESPN deserves stars at this. We're going to work on that. Can you imagine how quickly that would flip just like Cena's heel turn, how fast it came back to being a babyface. If they would do that, and it's completely against their DNA, imagine how quickly Triple H would become a babyface.
Think about, though, Coach. Here's the thing. Think about how many hats Triple H is wearing right now, which is absolutely ridiculous. I remember, Coach, we got to the point at the WWE where the Attitude Era started taking off, and it was just Vince and I writing the shows. And Vince said to me when it started taking off, Vince, I don't have the time to do creative with you anymore. There's much bigger things on my plate. We need to get you a writing partner. And then Vince went and did the other things. Triple H is wearing so many hats, Coach, that what you just laid out is an impossibility for him unless he takes some of those things off his plate. He does not need to be opening up freaking trading cards, Coach.
Oh my God, you're so right. The trading cards. He does not need to fly to Vegas to stand on top of a football stadium to announce WrestleMania. Guess what? Have Roman Reigns do it. Have Cody Rhodes do it. These are your stars. I don't know, Vince. We're always taught. It's about those that are on the marquee, isn't it? Isn't it about those that are?
What, man, Coach? I don't think you saw the 5th episode of Unreal yet.
Not yet. I haven't.
Coach, the absolute last shot is Triple H is in the limo. It's late at night. He's in the back seat. He's looking out the window. We see all the lights of the city, and he's talking. And I'm like, brother, get over yourself. This is professional wrestling. Get over yourself. But you're right, Coach. You have nothing without the talent. You've got zero without the talent, and that's why talent always needs 100% to be in the forefront. Period. End of story.
It's 101. And the talent would tell you that.
Yes.
Maybe not publicly because they like working there, but they would tell you that. That's it at any wrestling company. Yep. All right. What another really, really fast hour. For those of you watching on YouTube, we will continue on. For those of you watching on Stadium and Bally Sports Live, we thank you so very, very much. We'll be back here next Thursday at 7 a.m. Eastern Time. We also have a show on Monday at 5 p.m. Eastern Time. We love you guys so much. For Vince, producer man, I'm the coach. We'll see you next time on the Coach and Bro Show. Have a great day. All right, you degenerates out there, you suffered through, and I am very, very much. Vince, we got a bunch of super stickers we got to get to. And also, never forget, if you give a super sticker of $10 or more at the end of every single Thursday, which is today, you get a spot on the Wheel of Doom.
Yes.
And an opportunity to get an I Bet Wrestling or a Mamby-Pamby t-shirt sent right to you. Don't be a mamby-pamby.
No.
There is the Wheel of Doom. Producer man, real quick, because I know you just threw it up there. I wasn't ready to go to that. There it is. Because we have a few more, and I believe producer man can add them as we go. He's a genius.
Yes.
He really, really is. All right, let's get into it. Let's start with Ron Curtis off Vermont. He's got a spot on the producer man goes, I was just teasing that. I was just teasing it, Finn.
Yeah.
Oh my God. I'm going to tease the Cox Wi-Fi guy when he shows up today, by the way. All right. Was Cody versus McIntyre box office? The trilogy is a staple of real sports, so I would have main event Cody Roman trilogy with Cody turning heel. What would have been ideal for Palooza's last match? That's a great question. That's a great question. Here's the problem, Vince, is that Cody just came back from Street Fighter. He posted a picture. And then Roman Reigns went to shoot his part of Street Fighter. And I understand, Vince, they want to put family first. But damn it, Vince, these are guys making $5, $10, $15 million a year. When these deals come to fruition, they have to. And I don't know what the answer is to this. You're my head writer. Talk to me.
Well, I'm going to tell you this too, man. Again, with Vince, nothing took precedent over the WWE. I don't care what it was. I was there when he almost lost Steve Austin because Steve wanted to go work Nash Bridges full time. And I was there. Nothing was more important than the WWE. Now it's like the WWE is second fiddle. Oh, if I don't have a movie, maybe I'll show up at an event. But again, Coach, listen, we've got to be honest. If they're going to pay you these prices without the Roman Reigns and without the Cody Rhodes, then what difference does it make? They're paying you the price anyway.
I know, and you know how much it frustrates me when you say it, not when you say it,
Right.
but when that's it
the
frustrates
truth.
me that everything no, and that's why I'm frustrated.
Right.
Every argument, because this is the only argument that fans have. Well, Coach, they're making more money than ever, so they're bigger than ever. And I do a radio show with people that literally believe that.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean the shows are good just because they're getting paid $1 billion.
Absolutely. Yes.
The two things are not simultaneous.
Nope.
Oh, it just drives me insane.
You see that all the time in sports when a team has a ridiculous payroll and they're playing 500 ball. It's the same thing. It's 100%. The same thing.
100%. I lost my train of thought there. I had something really important to say, but now I can't remember what it is.
Come back to you.
Yeah, I'm sure. All right. Ironic that a person named Cupcake is up next. Cupcake. Love cupcakes. I'm in the minority. So am I, Cupcake. I enjoyed Wrestlepalooza. You didn't think that was funny, Vince? I feel Triple H did a great job. The kids crying proves this. Emotion was evoked from the fans, so your job is done. Also, Cena doesn't deserve a rematch. Cupcake, I feel like you're the type of wrestling fans that just writes things to get a reaction because I don't know if he's talking about those 30 kids that walked out with John Cena, Vince. I don't know what kids he's talking about. But to me, you can evoke emotion a lot of different ways. But I felt like that. And this has been roundly considered a SmackDown at best. I've heard that a lot. This is basically a SmackDown, which is what it was.
I would say this to Cupcake. Cupcake, evoke emotion from adults. Okay, not children. Okay, yeah, children are going to cry when John Cena loses. Let me see emotion from adults. They never evoke emotions from adults. Kids, come on, bro. Give me a break.
All right, producer man tells me that there were shots of
that's what he's talking about. Kids crying when
kids crying in the crowd. Yeah. That's true because another big complaint that I get a lot on the two different shows that I do. I do 15 hours of wrestling content a week. I would consider myself an expert. I'd consider myself an expert.
A little bit.
Just a little bit. And to me, a lot of the complaining is just that. That they're marketing to children, which pro wrestling has never been that. Remember when they went to the PG era, it was like, oh my God, what are we doing? And I think that becomes a real issue, issue. Yeah. R. Sutton says, pair character lying on the side, raising his arm while saying, how's it going? I don't know what that means, but thank you for the super sticker. Ralph Mack, you're going to be on the Wheel of Doom. Much love, Coach, bro, producer man. I just stream free on websites. This channel is the most I've dropped on wrestling since Hogan Flair Australian tour. Vince, what idea do you wish made TV? Yeet. Thank you, Ralph Mack.
Yeah. You know, again, people find this hard to believe, but I never pitched anything I really wanted to do that did not happen on TV. I'll be honest. I mean, Vince pretty much let us write the shows, so everything I wanted to do, I pretty much got to do.
It must have been amazing when you would write a show and as a writer or a creative person, then to watch your vision play out and then to watch the numbers grow and grow and grow and grow. What was that feeling like?
No, it was just great because here was the great thing about it, Coach. When Vince saw that, now the trust kicks in. Yeah. Now it's obviously you're doing something right. You know what you're doing. Go do it. That's what made my job so much easier.
You were the best. R. Sutton says, pair character jumping down saying number one fan. What's this pair character that
Who's
I'm missing?
this
What am I
pair
missing?
character?
I
have
don't
no
know.
idea.
Somebody educate me. Somebody. R. Sutton, you'll be on the Wheel of Doom. Congrats. And we thank you for that. All this goes to the production of the show. I don't know what you're talking about. I really don't. Bob says, thanks for the kind words, Vince. I have the purple badge with all my contributions to this podcast. Have me on live to discuss the dad bod virus in WWE. Bob, here's the thing. As much as Vince would love it, the one thing that drives me nuts is I used to be on a brand that would bring fans onto the show. It was a disaster. A absolute disaster. Vince, on my radio show, when I started off the ropes, it was obvious to me that they were so used to letting fans just give us their life story. Yeah. They'd come on and be like, the first couple of days, well, Coach, here's my thoughts. And I have 3 of them. No, you don't. Not on my show, you don't. Yeah. And now we do a segment called Rapid Fire, where literally the intro says, get in, get out, and make it good.
Yes.
And now the fans are doing it.
I love
Those
that.
that listen every day, they're like, hey, I get it. This is
what
we're supposed to do.
Yeah, I love it. Love it.
If you say to me, so, no, there's no so. Like, it's you're getting cut off. Ty Salters, is Triple H going to be the Jerry Jones of the NFL? AKA, as long as he's in charge, the Cowboys will never succeed again of the WWE. That's a great analogy. The difference is, giving Triple H some credit, he's one of the greatest superstars of all time.
Yeah.
And may end up being his demise. I hope not, because he's a really good person.
Yeah.
He's a really nice. All the criticism you guys hear at home about him, Vince, it's not about him as a person. I always loved dealing with Triple H.
Yeah. Coach, I break it down this simply. He's not a creative guy. Period. No. You can win 97,000 world titles as a wrestler. It does not make you a creative television writer. It's that simple.
Do you think he understands that when, like, for example, the Monday night that he missed Raw, which I think I saw Vince McMahon miss less than 5 in my entire career there. And 3 of those was when he ripped his quads off of his legs and couldn't walk. Yeah. That was a horrible, horrible night. But when you're flying to Vegas to be part of a TED Talk, to me, that's something Nick Khan should be doing.
Yeah.
And then you're a podcast with Tony Hinchcliffe. At the same time Raw is going on, you're on the Pat McAfee show the next day, and Tyrese Halliburton says, man, I can't believe Io Sky didn't get that contract signed last night. And he goes, what? Like, you're the head of creative. You had to sign off on the final rendition or episode, whatever you want to call it. And he didn't even know that. To me, if you're the head of creative, the head of the content that is going to dictate these billion-dollar deals, Vince, you got to be committed to that and not to your talent work and showing up on every video.
Coach, there was a scene in that 5th episode of Unreal when Charlotte and Tiffany had that promo that turned into a shoot promo, right? Mm-hmm. So they go to Triple H at the gorilla position, and he's sitting there. Was that scripted? Was she supposed to say that? Does anybody know what was in the script? And I'm sitting there and I'm saying, you don't know? You don't know if she was supposed to say that? And again, I was in that spot. How do you not know that, bro?
For people who don't understand, thinking that, let's just take my time there. Let's take Vince's time out of it. Every single show, every SmackDown, the production meeting did not start till who walked in the door, Vince?
Vince.
Period.
Yep.
People don't understand.
Yep.
He ran everything. Everything signed off. They would change something a million times during the day. Now, was it frustrating? No question it was, but he was invested. And he wanted every single bit of every single show, which is why, Vince, he hated being on camera. He hated doing it because he wanted to run the company and the creative.
And Coach, you know what was so telling? And this is why, if you guys watch this Unreal, they think they're working you when you know what to look for, they're exposing themselves. Here was something very telling, Coach.
Okay.
So that stuff goes down with Charlotte and Tiffany, where Tiffy takes the shot about her divorces, and he doesn't know if that was scripted or not. So when he finds out it's not scripted, he tells one of the 90 people in the gorilla position, I don't know how that ever happened. The gorilla position used to be Bruce, Vince, and the agent of the match, period. Now there's a party going on in the gorilla. But he finds out that Tiffany shot, and you know what he does? He grabs somebody. You need to go tell Tiffany that she needs to apologize to Charlotte. What would Vince have done? Bring
her to me.
That tells you right there, he doesn't want to be the bearer of bad news. He wants everybody to love him. He wants everybody to be. If you can't reprimand the talent and you got to send somebody else to do, Vince would have never done that.
Never. And I wonder how much, because we do it, the talent is doing it. Cody Rhodes just did an interview last week. He was asked about who will succeed Triple H.
Yep.
Now, he said it's been a topic of conversation a lot lately. I was like, oh, very interesting. He then went into this really thought-provoking answer. I'm like, you don't have that kind of an answer, Vince, if it's not being talked about by multiple people that you are dealing with. And he calls himself QB1. And now Triple H started calling him that. And I would dare say Triple H doesn't even know what that means. But QB1 means you're the number one quarterback for your team. Right? And so he said CM Punk, Seth Rollins, or him say, he goes, it was always going to be me, but now I'm looking at it. And so the fact that he answered that question in longer than 60 to 90 seconds tells me that other people are talking about this particular job, that Triple H in 10 years, he's only going to be 64. And in his mind, he's going nowhere. But in Cody Rhodes' mind, because he talked, it could be somebody else.
Yeah.
And that means very, very telling.
And here's the funny thing, too. Like all the people they're mentioning, what are they all? They are all wrestlers. So you're going to get wrestling on your television show, and nothing is ever going to change.
Man. And I want to see some fun stage. I want to see them use the talent that can talk. Oh, I want so much. KS says, did you see the backlash Gail Kim got on X due to her scrutiny of Riho? Or Rhea. I'm assuming it's Rhea. Also, did you address my super sticker from Monday? Thanks. Producer man, KS will make it right. If we didn't get to yours, we apologize. We try to get to all of them. Did not see the Gail Kim stuff.
Oh, my God.
There we go. Okay. Oh, favorite dream match, not including Sting Taker, Hogan Austin, Shawn, Eddie, Bret Kurt, or anything with The Rock. Oh, okay, KS. We can do that one for sure. What would be your favorite dream match, Vince? Do you think?
Not including any of those names? My dream match would be the Coach versus Brock Lesnar. That would
not be mine. That would not be mine. Oh my God, that would not be mine. I saw a clip with Colin Cowherd resurfaced, and Colin Cowherd years ago when he was still at ESPN with me, he hosted this show called Sports Nation, and they brought Brock in to the room, and somebody had told Brock that Colin Cowherd had criticized him because Colin's not a big wrestling fan.
Yeah.
And he thinks wrestling's stupid. And so they tipped Brock off. And we came in, he gave him a little bit harder of a handshake squeeze and got it. And then Colin immediately, if you could see down his leg, there was probably something there.
Yeah.
But it was funny because usually he's in control. So, man, dream match not involving, The Rock's my favorite wrestler of all time. I was there. I was part of the Rock Hogan match, so I got to see that up close. Man, I don't know. It'd probably be Dusty Rhodes against somebody because I feel like Vince, the lead up could be really, the promos could be really cool. Nobody cuts a promo like Dusty Rhodes.
Oh heck no.
He was the greatest.
Yeah,
he was the greatest. No, probably that. Okay, yes, probably that. All right, you guys forgot to answer the question, which happens a lot with most YouTubers, so no worries. We're not YouTubers. What owes Roman? It wouldn't have been that wouldn't have been a bad last match, Roland. It really wouldn't have been. To me, Vince, you put your two biggest stars on last, and that
Yeah.
should have been Cena and Brock. But you can't end you can't end a night on a squash.
Yeah. Guys, I honestly believed they were going to put Drew over. I honestly believe that, because if not for anything else, it would have given Cena another opponent. That's what I thought. So when they just put Cody over Drew again, yeah, their explanation is going to be, Coach, we got to send the people home happy.
Mm-hmm.
Cody over Drew, like, who didn't expect that,
I mean, he had only been back for a week. He's a champion, and right now they've gotten in a bad habit of moving titles around a lot.
Yeah.
So they're now in this position where I feel like, we can't do that because he just won it at WrestleMania, but he's only, I love when people put out those tweets that were like, hey, this title's only been defended this many times. The other day I saw one with the tag team titles. Vince, I forgot who the tag champions were.
Oh, I couldn't tell you who the champions are right now. And I watch every week. I could not tell you who the champions are.
It's the two guys in the Judgment Day. They're the tag team champs.
JD McDonough, yeah.
They've defended the titles one time since July.
Coach, can I tell you one thing that stuck out like a sore thumb to me, man?
Of course.
Listen, if we're going to be fair, it has to be at least, you got to be 50% a great wrestler. You got to be 50% a great personality. You got to be able to cut a promo. You got to be able to talk. If you ask me, the freaking character is way more important than the wrestler, because you can train anybody to be a great wrestler. You can't train somebody to have the it factor, like you said, with Dusty, and go out there and cut a promo. I did not realize how badly things have changed, Coach, till this last Monday's show. They put the title on Vicure. What's her first name again?
Stephanie Vicure.
Stephanie Vicure. They put the title on her. She cut her first promo as champion. Coach, the worst promo I've ever heard in my life. And I'm watching this show, and it just dawned on me, you have champions now who can't cut promos? If you couldn't cut a promo back in the day, they wouldn't have even you wouldn't have been anywhere near a championship. I remember, Coach, before Chris Benoit got hired by WCW, he had a dark match with Owen Hart. This is like 1995. And they were in Canada, and Owen and Benoit were friends, and he had a dark match. He was trying to get a job with the WWE.
Sure.
Benoit and Owen tore the house down. Tore the freaking house down. As soon as the match is over, I go find Pat Patterson. Pat Patterson and Bruce were booking at the time. And I looked at Pat, I'm like, you're going to hire that guy, right? Benoit was never on national TV before. Bro, Pat Patterson laughed in my face and said, hire him? You ever hear that guy cut a promo? Chris Benoit did not get hired. And I'm watching Stephanie Vicure, and she's horrible. I mean, but it doesn't even matter anymore. You're going to put a main championship on somebody that can't cut a promo?
But it does matter. And this is not from what you're saying, but it does matter. And the fact that they're not seeing that is the issue. I think she's French, right? She's
got a real heavy accent that's very hard to understand.
Yeah, and I don't know where this got lost in the equation, because when you talk about the greatest of all time, all of them can talk.
Absolutely.
All of them can talk. And there's no wrestling. I've never seen a wrestling match, maybe a couple, that evoked so much emotion out of me to care based off the wrestling match. Yeah. They're always based off the promos and the leading up and the storylines and all of that. But One of my favorite things to say on any show is if you can't talk, you can't get.
And coach, worst case scenario, if you're a great wrestler and you can't talk, what do? Give him freaking Bobby Heenan.
Exactly right.
We're not even going to give her a manager to talk for her. It blows my mind.
Yeah, at least they have another female named Lyra Valkyrie too.
Exactly.
All right, we got to move on because I got another show. Amazing. R. Sutton, you just got a spot on the Wheel of Doom. Stephanie, biggest Hall of Fame achievement is getting Triple H to head booker. Russo is sabotaging my super chat messages somehow. He would do that to me, bro.
Oh my gosh.
I promise he wouldn't. But thank you for that. KG, spot on the Wheel of Doom. I can't help but laugh at these ticket prices. They don't even have common courtesy of offering a dance from the TV. Hell, if I can't choose, give me Blake Monroe. That NXT. You feel like you need something. You feel like so producer man said that Stephanie Valkyrie talked about trying to learn English on Van Vliet's podcast.
Yeah,
she's trying to learn English.
Yeah, now that the belt is on and she's going to learn English. Oh, please, bro. Don't get me started.
Last one, and any that come in after this, we got to do it on Monday. I apologize. Last one, R. Sutton. Coach, if the Saudis offered you $10 million for the dream match of Coach versus Lesnar at Saudi Mania, you're getting in there, right? 1,000.
Coach, I'll be your corner man, coach. I'll be the corner man.
I'm gonna sell to the floor right before the F5 starts. Vince gets thrown in. I'm telling you right now, I would rather take an F5 through a table than take it the way he just throws you and lets you land. Here you go, just throws you and lets you land. Oh my God, you guys have no clue what it feels like to have Brock Lesnar's hands on you. I do. It is the scariest thing you could possibly ever imagine. When all of a sudden, Vince, your safety in your mind is no longer in your control, it is terrifying.
Oh, I can imagine.
This man is terrifying.
I can imagine. Yeah.
Oh. But I did watch him one time, Kurt Angle, and him went at it like at 3:00 in the afternoon one time, very early on. Brock has evolved very early on. He had a gigantic ego. He was an NCAA champion. He came in. They were calling Kurt the best amateur wrestler in WWE. He didn't like that very much, but he got over it when the checks started going.
Of course. Yeah.
All right, we've got one thing left to do. Then we got to get the hell out of Dodge. It is time for. There it is. Look how many names are on
I know. That's what I saw that before. The names are definitely growing. Yes.
It's incredible. All right. So here's what it is. We're going to spin the Wheel of Doom. These are for anybody on Monday or today that gives a super sticker of $10 or more. We want to give back. And this is just an idea that we came up with. And I'm really excited about it. So we will have an email for the winner to email Producer Man. And you can get either a Mamby Pamby t-shirt or an I Bet Wrestling t-shirt. All right, Producer Man, whenever you are ready, spin the Wheel of Doom.
Yes.
Who's it going to be? Who's going to join Hitesh and Smarty? Varsity VA. All right.
Congrats.
All right. Congrats. There is the email. Send us an email to Producer Man. Let him know who you are. He'll get all your information. And then when you get the shirt, take a picture, send it to us to that email. We'll put you right up on the show. Bob, that's how you get on the show. For Bob, that you send us a picture with a piece of merch. We'll throw you on the show.
Yes.
And then maybe you can talk about dad bods. All right. Vince, I got to get the hell out of here.
Go,
You're
Coach.
amazing.
You got to do. Thank you, my friend.
Guys, take care. We'll be back Monday, 5 p.m. Eastern time for our Monday edition. It's going to be a busy weekend for Vince Russo, Producer Man. I'm the coach. We'll see you next time on the Coach and Bro Show. Take care.